So today is a very melancholy day as it's raining outside and so beautiful, so we're gonna take it down a notch from last week. We're gonna use this bottle that, if you've seen one of my previous videos, I cut with fire, and we're going to be using these square popsicle sticks that I picked up at Walmart for wicks. You just take a pair of scissors and notch it in the middle and then break it in half, and these are what we will be using. I'm going to pair them up 2 at a time to make our wicks and hopefully put 3 of them in this candle. Now for the wax, I picked this up at Michael's in the candle making section. I have this container that I use to melt the wax in using the microwave. It's actually pretty easy to do and very simple, so everyone will be able to join in this project. And I picked up these fragrances from Walmart. They're essential oils, eucalyptus and lemon, to keep the mosquitoes away. And we'll definitely be using these miniature clothespins to keep from burning our fingers. Alright everybody, let's get this show on the road. We're going to take our wax and we're going to place it in the microwave. You should only have to put the wax in for about 3 to 6 minutes. I do it in 3-minute intervals so I can keep an eye on the wax until it is fully melted. It makes it easier that way and you don't overcook the wax. Be careful at this stage because the wax is very hot. I used a towel, or you can use a pot holder. Now make sure that the wax is cool enough to where you can add your essential oils. If it is too hot, when you add the essential oils, it will actually boil off the fragrance. So I used a towel, as you can see in this and earlier with the microwave, to pour my wax into the glass cup container. Now I take my popsicle sticks and I measure it for the length of the wick to make sure that the ones I broke in half are just long enough. As well, we are going to be soaking our popsicle sticks in the wax. We will actually be using these miniature clothespins to hold on to them while we soak them in the wax. And if you listen to them, when you first put them in, they will actually fizz and bubble and make some weird noises because the dryness of the wood is just sucking up the wax. Soaking them in the wax and the oil will actually help them burn better. If you don't soak them, I learned that they hardly burn, if at all. And we'll definitely add our oil in now because it's cooling down quite nicely. I like my candles to smell extra good, so I always add a bunch of smelly stuff. So I had such a hard time placing my wicks the traditional way I do when I use these glass bottles. I just did it another way. I took the bottle and I sat it in some cold water to where it wouldn't overflow my candle bottle, and then it actually caused the wax on the bottom to harden faster instead of doing it the other way where I use string. And I also added a little bit more fragrance in this step, and throughout the cooling process I added 1 ice cube each time the other ice cube thawed. And of course I mixed in the fragrance really well, because if you don't, it will sink directly to the bottom. And use a towel to hold the bottle because it is very hot. Now we'll take the jar that we microwaved it in last time and microwave some more because it just doesn't sit high enough. And I took my wicks and actually stuck them in the wax while it was beginning to harden to place them properly. It actually worked out really well this way as opposed to the way I normally do it. The reason why I normally don't do it this way though is because when you add more wax, the wax all the way at the bottom tends to melt. So I had to find a more gentle way to add the wax to keep it from completely melting and offsetting our wicks. Now we ended up needing this third one, so I actually had to cut and break it for you on camera, which is kind of fortunate because you got to see it. Now just eye them and center them as good as you can. They don't have to be perfect. Unless you want them to be perfect, then by all means. But I have to look at it every day and I'm not too worried about them being exactly perfect. Now just to wait for the wax to dry some and stabilize. As we wait for this wax to harden, we will actually heat up some more wax because the candle is not quite full enough yet. We will definitely have to be careful putting in this new wax on top of the old wax so our wicks don't fall. And we'll add a little bit more fragrance just because we can. And you can see it hardening now with the fragrance actually resting on top. Now we're going to pull up the other one and let's get started on adding in the next batch of wax. For this step we'll need a spoon to pour in the hot wax. It just made it easier, I found. I really like this music too. It fits the day. Very calm. Now we're just going to pour the wax in gently so it doesn't melt everything and it still holds our popsicle sticks in place. And if you really pay attention right now, you can actually see how much the hot wax is melting the wax we already have there. So you can see why I'm just using a spoon and adding it slowly the way I am. And don't worry about the wax that falls into the water. You can always take that out later and save it for another project when it dries. I'm actually using a toothpick to break it away from the side of the glass. I'm just pulling it out and saving it for later. And of course add some more fragrance, and you can tell that that popsicle stick there fell over because it just was too hot and fell out of place. Now all we gotta do is let the wax dry. Or should I say cool down. Then I just removed it from the water and set it on top of a rag so I could clean up my mess and have less to deal with later. And as soon as the top is hardened over hard enough, you can use your candle. Now let's light it just to test it out. If you were listening just now, I made it quiet so you could actually hear the crackling. I love wood burning candles. They're so pretty. Alright, now on to the fun part, decorating. I have these leftover flowers from an old project, and I got this big bag of lace from my mom and some of her friends. So we're going to fit the lace to size and trim it. I also got this seafoam green. It happens to be one of my favorite colors. I've been working with it a lot lately. We'll fit that to size and cut it too. And we'll trim off a little excess because the other ends from the start were jagged to begin with. Alright, these are the two colors and the beautiful flowers we will be working with. And of course a hot glue gun. Now I am starting to add the glue to hold on the ribbon. Now this is a very hot glue gun. If you've seen some of my other videos, I've used it before. So this is almost a commercial style one, so be careful. It is going to be very hot on your fingers. Don't burn yourself. It will cause blisters. But this is why the ribbon or the lace is actually sticking to the glass, because it is that hot. And just a little bit goes a long ways. You don't have to use a whole bunch and cover up everywhere where the lace is going to be sticking. I just did a thin line around the entire base. And of course, I folded under the flap and glued it down to make it look nice and clean. And of course, clean up all the strings from the glue. You're gonna have them no matter what. Now let's add our second ribbon. I shortened it up a bit since I already showed you how to do so on the first piece of ribbon. It's pretty much the same. Just placement, add a little bit of glue, and you're ready to go. And of course, fold over the flap and make it look really nice when you're finished. course, turn it around, see how our ribbon looks. Place our flowers, see where we want them. Add glue and attach them to the ribbon. And our project is finished. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and of course have a wonderful and beautiful day. God bless.